Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that almost everything around you wants you dead. There are no walls protecting you, no locked doors, no hospital nearby, no phone to call for help, no supermarket if food runs out. You open your eyes beneath a shelter made from branches, leaves, and animal hides. The fire from last night is almost gone. Your family is still asleep, and somewhere beyond the darkness, a predator is watching. This wasn't a horror story to ancient humans. This was life. For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors woke up knowing that survival was never guaranteed. But what would the most dangerous day of their lives actually look like? There probably wasn't one single day that was universally the most dangerous. Different humans lived in different environments, and the dangers changed with the climate, the landscape, and the animals around them. But we can reconstruct the kinds of dangers they faced, and one ordinary day could turn into a fight for survival remarkably quickly. It might begin with something as simple as hunger. Imagine your group has been searching for food since sunrise. The previous hunt failed. The fruits you normally depend on are becoming harder to find. The dry season has lasted longer than expected. Everyone is getting hungry, and hunger changes the decisions you make. A hunter may have to travel farther from camp. That means leaving the protection of the group. And the farther you travel, the more dangerous the landscape becomes. You follow animal tracks through tall grass. You hear movement. You stop. Nothing. You continue walking. Then suddenly, the grass moves again. This time, something is there. Ancient humans weren't the strongest predators in their environment. A large carnivore could run faster. A powerful animal could injure them far more easily. Their greatest advantage was something different. They could cooperate, they could communicate, and they could plan. A group of humans could make decisions together that a solitary individual couldn't. They could surround prey. They could use tools. They could create fire. They could warn each other about danger. But even with those advantages, one mistake could have enormous consequences. And predators weren't the only problem. The environment itself could become deadly. Imagine the same group during an unusually cold night. The fire has burned low. There isn't enough dry wood nearby. The wind cuts through the shelter. The children are cold. The adults have to decide whether someone should leave the shelter to collect more fuel. But walking through darkness has its own dangers. A predator could be nearby. The ground could be uneven. A person could become separated from the group. So they wait. They conserve heat. They stay close together. And they hope the fire lasts until morning. This is something modern life makes easy to forget. For ancient humans, temperature wasn't just about comfort. It could determine whether you survived the night. The same was true of water. A river could save your life, but it could also kill you. Ancient humans needed fresh water constantly. But approaching a river meant entering an environment where other animals were also searching for water. Large predators often gathered near rivers because prey did too. And beneath the surface, there could be another threat. In parts of Africa and other regions inhabited by early humans, crocodiles have long been powerful aquatic predators. An animal coming to drink had to be alert. One moment you could be safely standing beside the water. The next, the situation could change completely. This is why ancient humans didn't simply survive by being brave. They survived by paying attention. They learned where predators lived. They learned which plants were safe. They learned which rivers were dangerous. They learned the seasons. They learned animal behavior. And they passed that knowledge to their children. A child wasn't given a survival manual. They watched. They listened. They followed adults. Every mistake became a lesson. And some mistakes were lessons nobody survived to pass on. But perhaps one of the greatest dangers ancient humans faced wasn't an animal at all. It was injury. Today, if you break a bone or develop a serious infection, modern medicine can completely change the outcome. For ancient humans, an injury could threaten everything. Imagine a hunter twisting an ankle miles away from camp. They can't simply call someone. They can't drive home. They can't visit an emergency room. If they can't walk, the group has a serious problem. This is one reason cooperation became so important. Humans weren't designed to survive alone. Our babies are dependent for years. Our bodies aren't covered in armor. We don't have claws or enormous teeth. Instead, we developed something far more powerful: social intelligence. People cared for injured group members. They shared food. They protected children. They carried what they could. they taught one another. And this cooperation may have been one of the greatest reasons humans survived environments that were otherwise incredibly dangerous. Then comes another threat that ancient humans could never completely escape: fire. Fire was one of humanity's greatest inventions. It provided warmth, it allowed people to cook food, it created light, it helped keep predators away. But fire could also destroy a shelter or spread through dry vegetation. Our ancestors had to learn how to control it, and controlling fire required knowledge: where to place it, what wood to use, how to keep it burning, how to protect it from wind, how to extinguish it. A fire wasn't simply something humans possessed, it was something they had to manage. And then there were the dangers we rarely think about: parasites, disease, spoiled food, poisonous plants, venomous animals. A tiny bite or contaminated meal could create a serious problem in a world without antibiotics or modern medicine. Yet despite all of this, our ancestors kept going. They didn't wake up every morning thinking about death. They played, they laughed, they created art, they told stories, they cared for children, they fell in love, they explored. And that may be the most surprising part of the story. We often imagine ancient humans as frightened creatures constantly running from predators. But danger wasn't the only thing their world contained. There was beauty too: a river at sunrise, a successful hunt shared with the entire group, children playing beside a fire, the first stars appearing above an open landscape. A story told by an elder that everyone had heard 100 times before. Life wasn't simply about surviving the next attack, it was about living. And perhaps that's why humans became so good at dealing with danger. We learned to turn experience into knowledge, knowledge into culture, culture into technology, and technology into protection. The shelter became stronger, the tools became sharper, the fire became more controlled, the strategies became smarter. And eventually, humans became one of the most adaptable species the planet had ever seen. So, what was the most dangerous day in an ancient human's life? Maybe it was the day a predator followed them home. Maybe it was the day a hunt went wrong. Maybe it was a freezing night when the fire almost disappeared. Or maybe it was simply a day when several small problems happened at once: hunger, cold, injury, darkness, predators. Any one of them could be manageable. Together, they could become deadly. And yet our ancestors kept waking up the next morning. They kept learning, they kept adapting, they kept moving into new environments, until eventually, those fragile creatures who once had to fear the darkness around their shelters became the species capable of building cities, crossing oceans, surviving frozen continents, and changing the planet itself. The ancient world was dangerous, but every danger taught humanity something, and every lesson that survived became part